Oh, hello. My name's Vin or Lavinia Co-op. I put Co-op on the end because Lavinia was too posh. And my other friends, Fergus became Fanula, which was much more middle class. And then Alarm became Lady Alicia Bracknell from a handbag. So it was upper class, middle class, and I was the working class.
Hello and welcome to Artifacts, a living archive dedicated to preserving the first-person stories of queer, avant-garde, and underground culture, told by those who lived it. Today's interview is part of our series Gender Benders, showcasing the groundbreaking icons who transcended the boundaries of traditional gender and identity. In this episode, we hear from Lavinia Co-op, the East London-born performer whose journey from working-class childhood to the front lines of queer liberation is as bold as it is inspiring. Discovering their identity in unlikely places, Lavinia entered theater as a dresser in the West End before joining the Gay Liberation Front in the early 1970s. There, she met Bette Bourne, became part of a communal gay household, and found the seeds of a new kind of performance. As a founding member of Bloolips, Lavinia toured internationally from 1978 to 1998, with the troupe's witty, camp, and politically charged productions, redefining queer theater across Europe and North America. Later, Lavinia carried that spirit into solo work at La Mama and Theater for the New City, continuing a legacy of performance that was at once intimate, radical, and defiantly joyful.
You know, you'd had the revolution in '69 at Stonewall, and that ricocheted over here in London. And I don't think it was, I won't be exact about dates, but 70, 71, two guys, Mellors and somebody started the Gay Liberation Front here in the London School of Economics. And from there it bloomed and blossomed. We went up to Powis Square where there was the church hall there, and I was coming out early. I was about 20, and I couldn't believe in the 70s this door opening full of every kind of gay person. I hadn't got a clue. I knew a little bit from theatre when I started leaving home and got a job as a dresser. And this queen, Alarm, she says to me, Lady Alicia Bracknell, she says, let's go up the GLF. What's the GLF? Oh, the Gay Liberation Front. Well, we went in there and it was unbelievable. Every kind of gay person and lesbian, women, so many women too. Now this went on for 2, 3, 4 years at least, and it diversified and went all over the country, and it had lots of anarchic and political, and the men were dominating and in control. And there was hippies and there was leather people. I mean, I'd never seen leather people. There was every kind. Oh gosh, it was wonderful because it wasn't in some horrible closeted bar where you couldn't hardly talk. You just stood around. This was oh, it was unbelievable. Notting Hill Gate was that whole area was full of squats and derelict buildings. And we were a lot of gay people squatting and in little bedsit land places. I mean, the GLF was quite radical. Sometimes it was really harsh. Gay men shouting at each other, screaming at each other. I won't be happy till there's fucking in the streets. You can't, hang on a minute, you know, there's all different kinds of people.
Experimental theatre.
You know, Bette grew up in the East End of London and was queer, and so in his you know, secondary school education, he had to play the Joker and all sorts of things. And of course he loved theatre and he got right into it. His mum got him on the stage when he was about 5 at the Hackney Empire, or was it the Town Hall? And but over time, Bette, you know, his mum was quite a personality, a bit like Bette, really big and warm. He obviously got to Central School of Speech and Drama and managed to do that, and had to be straight. You know, there was no way to get on in the West End of London. He was very much into the West End and trying to do theatre shows and things like that. They got the odd part in a bit of film here and there. managed to do things like that. There's times when you go, Bette was coming from a very difficult area of working and being gay. Well, Bette met Rex and had a great affair with Rex, and Rex told him about the gay lib. I don't know what age Bette was, he might have been in his 30s, but it was a big turnaround for Bette to start doing that. And he was seeing this opening door happening, and it was true for all of us. And then that really is Bette's look at the alternative theatre world, and you know, there's no one talking about queerness. Something that blew our minds was the Hot Peaches coming over and performing at the Oval House down in Kennington. And we went to see this show and we were just blown away because we'd never seen a group of people getting together, men and women, gays, lesbians. Even Peggy Shaw had her daughter in the group as well. I mean, it was their representation was us in our hippie clothes, our wild colours. They were singing songs that were old songs. They changed the words. They reinvented things. They made up stories. It was very cabaret theatre. We felt that nothing was said about the drag queens. The drag queens were always put down, and we were coming from a sort of a radical drag, and I won't say feminist because we weren't feminist, radical drag as opposed to radical feminist. And that was a big inspiration for me, seeing some of those people that were in a commune that lived around the corner in Notting Hill Gate, Bette and Gretel. Oh, there was a whole slew of different people living in a commune. These ideas, again, coming over from the USA that we were experimenting with. There was quite a few communes around London that tried to develop. But what was really happening was it was sort of the drag thing was not recognised or part of it. We were considered misogynist and female impersonators, and we weren't coming from that area of trying to look like women or be women. We were coming more from an area of looking on our feminine principles and realising that, and realising how our masculine principles or energy wasn't always the greatest either. So Bette did a show with the Hot Peaches and managed to do a tour with them, and he came back after that and said, you know, we've got to get something together, we've got to do our own thing, and it was too much. So he managed to get a bit of a script about an Australian drag queen, and he did a one-off show with like an interview, somebody interviewing, and of course it was a script, and Diva Dan played the maid. And she just came on in the whole of this, because there was not a lot of clapping and wonder, but when Danny came on and says, "You're wanted on the phone, Blanche," she took the house down. Because Danny had a particular way. He was partially hearing, you know, deaf. The dykes were saying, "Fuck off the stage." You know, this is, you know, and other people were like, "Oh no, this is all wrong." So we always had this political harshness that was going on. That was a beginning of, that was a tricky show. But after that, we thought, no, we'll get a whole group. Bette was, no, we'll get a We got together, there was about 9 of us, and Bette was the boss, the artistic director, and he was in charge because he knew from all the collective shared work that he'd done how you do need to have, he was saying, no, it's my group, I'm the boss, and this is it. So rather than that collective shared way where everybody's in power mongering, trying to sort, which is also valid, but it gave us the impetus to start being out and gay on stage. So John and Gretel and Paul Theobald, oh, Little Mickey and Julian Howes, and we've got a show called The Ugly Duckling, pretty good structure. So The Ugly Duckling gets thrown out of Normality Farm, and we do a whole little opera there of all the cockerel and the cow and the sheep, and we're all on, oh, do 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 do, the cow goes moo, ba dee da do, oh, the little ba da da da, down on Normality Farm. And of course they throw the ugly duckling out, and he comes across the punk rocklings, and the punk rocklings say, be like us, be anarchic. It moves along, and there's the drag queens, Queen Cockerel and Goosey Nafarina, and they're all like, be like us, be drag queens. And so, all right, it moves along a bit further, and there's the leather guys. And the leather guys, oh, wherever you go, whatever you do, we're gonna go through it in leather. Oh, thick and thin. And then there was the political guy, the liberal, that had the jacket on, but all his badges and buttons were inside. He couldn't quite sort of be that out. Of course, they didn't want us going over the top or being too camp, or you were ruining the movement, you know. And yet we were part of the movement. In the end, the Ugly Duckling gets stuck in the ice, and we do a big ballet for a good reason, to have costumes and palaver. And then the autumn comes along and says, you're not an ugly duck, you're a swan. Go and take a look in the lake and you'll see your swan. Then I come out, I was the ugly duckling. It's my big part, you know, the ugly duckling. And I go and I look in the lake, and I do the quick change, which takes ages. And then I do the whole ballet. We did this dying swan at the end, and I said, the dying. It was so romantic, and anyway. And then, of course, at the end of it, out comes all the drag queens and, oh no, let's go up the disco. This is liberation. So that was the Ugly Duckling. That was a sort of a collective show that was put together but John was very good at getting a few scenes together, and Betty was good at controlling us all and making sure that we did this. We did this at the Tabernacle, which was the local community centre, and we had to move the stage, bring the stage in, get the piano down 2 flights of stairs across we got sound and lights, we got everything. Now John after that got another show together called the Maison Blanche show, the Mary Whitehouse show. So we did Oh Bananas, oh B-A-N-A-N-A-S, bananas. They're lovely in tuxedos or pajamas. We love them here, we love them there, we even love them in our hair, so share a banana with a friend. Oh, B-A-N-A-N-A-S, they slide down a throat with perfect ease, they simply glide down. Just hear a squeal and begin to reel as you start to peel the skin back all the way. A banana wins the day. You know, when we did that bananas number, a lot of people thought it's sexist, it's fuck off the stage. We got some strong reaction about some of the stuff we were doing. We weren't coming across as female impersonators. That was the thing, you know, because a lot of the theatre is, you know, tits and arse. Well, we weren't wearing tits. We did a white face, so it made us, as a group together, we did lips. If it wasn't for glitter, I don't know where we would be, because, you know, it can, if in doubt, glitter out. We were learning to do makeup, and we all made our own costumes individually. That was part of it. It's interesting, that first group, we did the 2 shows and toured. We managed to get to Amsterdam. We managed to get little tours up and down Holland. We existed, and then the Hot Peaches gave us their old VW van. I mean, you can't do anything without a transport. After that, you see what happens with groups. Remember, at the time there was loads of groups, all up and down England, theatre groups of all different kinds. IOU Theatre, Pigeon Drop came from America. So we were a group, 6 of us by now, down to 6. One was the pianist. What happens is everybody argues, and they've got van fever. They're touring endlessly. Of course, tension builds up and develops between people, because they're, that's just life, isn't it? You know, Betty and the writer, or John, 2 strong, two strong people, same age range, and it wasn't going to work, which was kind of disappointing because you had worked with these people, but they move on. Bette had managed to get another quick 6-7 week tour out of that first one, so we went back pretty quickly with a cabaret that we threw together, and it was quite a success in a way, and we made a little bit, I wouldn't say we made money, but we made a bit better than what because we'd really struggled in that first one. So that one we called Vamp and Camp, and it was about the cleaner had locked us in the theatre and we were stuck in the theatre, so we did all these numbers that we did. What is it? You made me love you, I didn't want to do it, but we did it to a tap, you know. You made me love you, I didn't want it, I did. You made, and you know, we weren't worried about whether we could sing right or whatever. You made me laugh. Oh yeah, dun, 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 dun. Oh, that was a good number, gosh. We stopped. We had about 2 or 3 months, 6 months. This is what happened, was that between exhaustion and dealing with each other, Paul, Bette, me and Danny were kind of like a stable in a way. John realized, you know, somehow came along and was, you know, got back interested with Bette, and so John went away and came back with the opening number of Lust in Space. It was a big tap number, In the Mood. We were in the Laundorama, and we sung a song, Disco, Disco Bingo. And of course we're in the Laundorama, and there's the Queen's Laundry, and there's the Crown, and there's a note, you know, and somebody's been stealing Prince Charles's underwear, all sorts of silly things, gags. And we find this note, and it says, we've got to go to the moon to fight the Russians. So in Russia, they're happy and gay, and they've locked all the doors just to keep it that way. Da, 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 da. This is the madness of John's writing, was that it felt like it was improvised in that moment, all the way through the shows. This was something that Bette also got us down and into, was staying in the moment and not trying to act gay or camp, being yourself and true to what you're saying, and not overdo it, that it comes out of you. And this was developing your comedy thing, which Bette was really hard on the timing, because we don't want you moving in the middle of my line. A big song in the Lust in Space was the Yin and Yang song. Now don't be afraid, that's how you were made. Part male, part female androgyny. It's all in your head, you heard what I said, so let it hang out androgyny. Don't be afraid, that's how you were made. Part male, part female androgyny. I know it's just another word to hide. It's a good song, and of course we're into a lot of trans issues, and so this is an androgynous issue which some people don't agree with, and on the other hand I sometimes think, well no, hang on, let's put it out there, because that's where we were very much coming from, that we had masculine and femme within us. I often think it's more about our sexuality than it is about our male or femaleness. We call it drag, you know, it's the feminine principle, but it was radical that it wasn't necessarily tits, and maybe it was beard and blue eyeshadow and lips. I think that early bit, the 70s through to 76, that was the radical drag ideas of people. I was too scared to do anything like that. It was enough to dress up. You see, this was the contradiction with hippie, that you could wear beads and droopy stuff and get away with long hair and things like that. So you were already very androgynous. So it was a borderline, and of course it would upset a lot of the people that were on the downstairs. No, and then living in the commune, that's a whole nother area of working, sharing everything, sharing all the drag, having a big space full of drag, the mattresses on the floor, the sharing the food, the sharing the money, and having to be very careful because, you know, under 21, it's illegal. You're now developing the beginning of the punk thing, 76, 77. Even when we did that first Ugly Duckling, people thought we were punk in Germany because we were British and we looked radical and things like that. We finished that tour and we had all this cash from different countries, and Betty had saved it and said, look, what should we do with this? Should we give it back to you, you know, share it? And then, or should we get a ticket and go to New York? So we said, we'll take a gamble, we'll go to New York. And when we came there, we did about 2 or 3 months there at Theatre of the New City, but the Orpheum picked us up and wanted to show us. And I would really like to appreciate John's creativity. We didn't know what the end of the show was going to be. He'd come in, he'd give you a bit, go away, and he'd start the next bit. Now Betty, absolutely, if that's the script, this is what we've got to do. This is what's been given. And he would work it. And maybe there was a few changes, but not much. Betty really could get you, because he endlessly rehearsed us. And that was one of the tough things. Mainly, I think, because Betty had his own insecurity about getting it right. He was external, watching and observing, but he was also in it. It was a whole nother ball game working the Orpheum, because it was 8 shows a week, 1 day off. We'd never worked like that, really. I mean, and we went to San Francisco, and it bombed. It didn't go well in San Francisco. I think it's because the San Franciscans were like, they'd seen it all before with the Angels of Light and the Coquettes. And here we were coming with a sort of maybe we were a little bit hippie-ish in our drag approach, and maybe they'd moved on and we weren't punk enough or something, whatever it was. Also publicity and things like that. No, we had a crowd, we had people coming, but it didn't take off. Again, after that, 85, yeah, we ended up in Provincetown. That was another bit. And then John came back with Betty, and they started to do a show called Living Legends, or Living Legends. There used to be a great photograph of famous people like Bette Davis and, no, it was Judy Garland with those fur coats on, and it was called Living Legends. And we said Living Legends.
Yes, very nice, very nice. Christ's sake, give it to me.
John again came back, and we did another one called Slung and Strapless, which was the life of Madame Mao, or famous actresses who rise to political power. We came on in one dress because we were a collective, so we all wore the one dress. And then immediately at the beginning of the show, we break that idea down again, because Betty's got the lead, and it's the lead for the kettle. Oh, never mind the bad jokes in it. People were coming and going, and you were kind of explaining to them what was it about, the Bloolips. Yes, are you into drag? Oh, are you into theatre? What is this about being gay? So there's elements there. You know, some people are, the theatre thing really gets them, but you're sort of trying to get across, where's your queerness, your radicalness? What about, are you in? And other people are not really interested. So getting people involved with drag could be just an actor, not necessarily interested, but getting them into drag. So this was another thing we were changing, but we changed quite a lot by now. And John did the final show with us called Teenage Trash, about how the suit, it was all about suitism and how the suits were taking over and in control. So in the end, the moths eat the suits. I'd like to do the mambo, but the suit says no. I'd like to do the mambo, but the suit says no. I'd like to do a tango, paso doble, wild fandango, or that dance from Pango Pango, it says no. I feel that mambo magic, but the suit says no. Though mambo jamboree means happiness. Button up, don't you dare gyrate. Shoulders back, keep your elbows straight. I'd like to do the mambo, but the suit says no. Well, all right then. So that's where Ray Dobbins came. And they've got together a show called Gland Motel. And they got together all about Madame Blavatsky and the psychic. And that's 1988. But then when you get to 1989, again, with Betty's cajoling of Ray Dobbins, because it's not easy writing, Ray did get her, sort of a send-off of a Ben-Hur. And that was a brilliant little show, very Bloolipian as well. It's interesting how Ray was able to get some of that sensibility of Bloolips and also work with Betty. No, but sometimes, you know, you might need ties, in case you ever need ties. Blouses, tops, different tops. Lovely 80s jacket, lovely women's suit. A bit of a cowboy there. Oh, that's, what is that? That's an old, suit. Just tops. Little mini skirts there. That was a lovely bit of stuff. Oh, this is pink. Collecting stuff from all over. People give me things as well. Here we go. That's a Lady Bunny old bit that she threw out, gave it to me. Sometimes it's good to be a little girl, but you're obviously a big man, you know. And oh, that's a bit of a zhush, more. Oh my God, no, polka dot. Oh, that was a good look. All polka dots. Beaded. Okay, here we go. Lots of colour. Yeah, that's from Suzanne Barsh, and this is. Oh, there you go. Oh, no, it goes on and on and on. I'm telling you, my life, you know, tails, but so ripped up. I just put safety pins. Oh, it goes on and on and on. And hang on, I'm getting lost in here. Where is it? Oh.
Artifacts is a free oral histories platform. Please like, subscribe, and visit our website, www.artifacts.movie. for an ad-free, interactive experience with bonus content. If you're able, please make a tax-deductible donation at www.artifacts.movie/donate. Hit the link on screen to watch another Artifacts interview.